The next chapter is about to begin. Join us live every Tuesday and Thursday for brand new episodes of the American Contractor Show. Our mission is to bring you the latest tools, innovations, and knowledge to help you become the most informed contractor in your market. Knowledge is the ultimate power, and we are connecting you with the most knowledgeable minds in our industry. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. American Contractors, I hope you're ready. This one's for you.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I as a contractor appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor that's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
Good Tuesday afternoon, everyone. Lead meteorologist Sean Choquette here for our forecast for today, tomorrow, and into Thursday. We're going to jump right into these weather headlines here, guys. Right after, as always, thanking our sponsors. You just saw them in the commercials before for C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, and Artist Supplement and Balance Claims. Graphics are different. Links are still in the description below. So we have overnight hail very likely tonight. So this is the first day of what's going to be a multi-day event here, and there's going to be very large hail possible in Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. That includes Oklahoma City and Dallas, so we're going to talk about that. We're really going to get into the meat and potatoes of a major outbreak that is very likely now going into your day tomorrow in the southeast, from Arkansas to North Carolina all the way through Thursday. It looks like wind, hail, and possibly up to violent tornadoes are possible for Wednesday into Thursday. And finally, of course, vote for Hail Trace here for Win the Storm. Win the Storm's coming up here at the end of the month, and it would be great if you guys vote for us for Vendor of the Year. And then just saying that upcoming events, it is in New Orleans. The SVG Awards are being the last day of the event, so vote for Hail Trace. It's going to be on April 2nd. I think you guys can vote pretty much all the way up till the end of the, right before the award show. I don't actually know the end date for that. So before we get into the actual forecast, I do have a nice little surprise. I figure a lot of people are going to be watching this video. We have new graphics we're showing off anyway. So I'm jumping right into the 2021 hail forecast. If you guys haven't been on the webinars or seen us in person for this event, the forecast has pretty much been hidden off of social media. So this is a perfect time to premiere. We're just doing the map and expected start times for the storm season. So we don't have the bold predictions on this. We can probably do that at a later date. So what we're expecting here from right now through June, overall above average for the United States. And we're going to start with the below average activity and average activity. So we have below average likely going to be in the Mountain West region. So places like Colorado may be having a quiet year this year due to the fact that we're going to have, we have quite the drought. Yes, we busted the drought a little bit with the snowstorm just the other day, but it really looks like we're going to be seeing a pretty quiet year off to the west. Average activity, don't worry, these are going to fill in here, guys. I think we're going to have somewhat above average activity here across the northeast, and then kind of nosing over into Missouri, where, again, average, especially in the northeast, is pretty low, but I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit more activity, especially later on in the springtime. Moving forward, above average, and this is the main reason why I'm showing this today. It is coinciding pretty nicely with this event that we're going to be seeing tonight through Thursday. Above average activity pretty much from I-35 points to the east. So here in the southeast, everywhere from North Carolina, South Carolina, here in what we call Dixie Alley, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. Again, we haven't had a whole lot of activity yet, but that's about to change drastically in the next 24 hours. Average activity looking like down south in Florida and right along that Gulf Coast. And finally, the most active area, and again, there's a reason why I'm showing this today. This looks like it's going to be really coinciding with this event that we're going to be seeing in the next 24 hours. So again, if you're out in the west in the high plains in Colorado, that's the only area of bad news I guess I have for you, below average. 2017 was below average for Colorado, and Denver had their biggest hailstorm of all time, so it just takes one storm to get you guys rocking and rolling up north, and then average activity in the Great Lakes and Northern Plains as well. Of course, we had storms already happen in Minnesota last week, which was very unusual. So now, there you go. Total reports, I think, between 8,300 and 8,700 across the United States. For points of reference, last year we were a little over 6,000 overall for the United States for the whole year. So it really looks like, again, that average activity up north, below average. This is the area where it could end up changing over the course of the next couple months. We get some more rain and break the drought a little bit. This could push a little bit further west, but I really think things are going to be fairly quiet out west, and otherwise a pretty active year across the United States. And when are these everything going to start? Expected season start March. It's March right now, and we're about to have that season really ramp up here going into tomorrow. We have across Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas after March 15th. Yeah, well, it's about now, tonight actually, and then up north, April, except for the anomalous event that we had the other day, and then finally in May, from Colorado up to the Northern Plains, and in the Northeast, we're expecting May to be that start of storm season. Pretty usual, nothing crazy about when we're thinking storm season is going to start in all these regions. Is pretty average time frame for when things get going, and that's getting rid of the crazy events like we had in Minnesota last week that we can't predict months in advance. So with that, we're going right into current conditions now. So what's happening right now? We're looking way ahead. What's happening at this exact moment? We got some rain here across Mississippi into Alabama. This is with warm air pushing to the north, and that is going to help fuel the storms that are possible going into tomorrow across the sections of the southeast. Here in Oklahoma and in Texas, we just have some high clouds in the area as we have some warm air advection. What does that mean? It means we have moisture streaming up into the southern plains. That's going to fuel the storms that are going to happen tonight. Current temperatures everywhere. We're in the 70s in Dallas. It's 31 in Denver after you guys got over a foot of snow. 37 in Chicago. 46 in Kansas City. You guys had some tornadoes yesterday. It was about the same temperature, so I wouldn't really worry too much about the temperature up that far north. And Atlanta, look at that. It's 40. Is that really 48? I doubt it's actually 48 in Atlanta right now, unless the pouring rain has really kept temperatures down. Otherwise, it's a nice getting things ready here for the potential severe weather, as these are the dew points. This is the moisture in the air. We're starting to stream to the north here. You got 61-degree dew points in Dallas. That's enough for hail. 65 right along the Gulf Coast, and it's already pretty humid across the deep south, and that is really going to fuel the potential for a very intense tornado outbreak going into tomorrow. Getting a little closer to southern plains, since that is what we have happening for tonight. Moisture is streaming north, only 43-degree dew point in Oklahoma City. That's going to change by this evening. And again, this is your source region down here by Houston, Corpus Christi, with dew points in the 70s. That's very, very humid, and that is all streaming to the north here, and that is going to provide the necessary instability for storms going into this evening. So now we're looking into the future jet stream. So this is the storm system that is going to cause all of the problems for the rest of this week. So this is at midnight tonight, starting off your St. Patrick's Day. We have a big old low pressure system that's going to be moving into the area here. We have Oklahoma City and Dallas. This is the necessary lift, providing that necessary lift to cause storms to happen in western Oklahoma and into Texas and even up into Kansas. And that's going to push off to the east, and this is by 9 p.m. tomorrow. Notice how the tilt, so say this is like up and down, the storm is tilted like this. We call that a negative tilt. What negative tilt means in the world of meteorology is you have a better chance of getting isolated storms, getting more violent storms with the potential for tornadoes in the region right here, so off to the southeast of wherever that low pressure center is, and that is going to be the southeast here in Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, into even up towards Kentucky, Georgia, and that's going to continue pushing off to the east And then by midday on Thursday, we're going to be seeing that risk shift over to the right on the East Coast and the Carolinas. And then after that, things push away. This storm goes up into the Northeast. And then after that, things are quiet through the weekend. And once we get, this will be our next possible system here on going into next week. So again, after this, we have a little bit of a break. And then I think we're going to see more storms possible once we get past the 20th. So with that, what are we seeing for the dew points for this evening? We see all this streaming up for Oklahoma City. That's going to cause these storms to fire. By 3 a.m., we have a dry line here. Usually you have that dry line. That means you have storms firing off just to the east of it. So notice 3 a.m. This is something you usually see at about 7 p.m. around dinner time. This is going to be the middle of the night, guys. So if you're going to see storms in Oklahoma City or in Dallas, it's going to be very, very late. We're going to break that down in a second for you. And we shift off to the east a little bit. By 3 p.m. tomorrow, everything has moved into Arkansas and Louisiana. You have all this deep moisture here to cause that potential tornadoes, large hail, strong winds, and then that will rip across the deep south. And then by 3 p.m. on Thursday, the risk will be in the Carolinas and into Florida. So after that, things quiet down, nice and dry, and then you're going to have a pretty quiet weekend after this system pushes off the coast. So what are we seeing for the future radar? This is just for the rest of today. You see the rain moving off to the east. You have a couple storms by 9 p.m. You got one here down in Texas. You have a couple here in Alabama. There will be some hail possible with it, but this isn't going to be the main show for the southeast. This is going to be quarter to maybe $half size hail. And then once we move later into the overnight and then by tomorrow morning, we actually have a warm front pushing north. This is going to be all of that rain associated with it. There could be some hail with these storms pushing to the north at daybreak tomorrow. Notice the storm up by Little Rock here. That would be a hailer and possibly even a couple tornadoes with this as well. And then we're going to shift off to the west a little bit here for Oklahoma and into Texas. And you see this is at 9 p.m. Storms are starting to fire. The other day, we had storms firing at noon. Today, we're having at 9 p.m. the first couple storms in western Oklahoma. We have one up in Kansas by Wichita, and then we push forward to about 11:30. You see a couple storms right along the Red River in southeastern Oklahoma. These storms up in here have the potential for some pretty intense hail this evening, and we got to keep an eye on how far to the south these storms are forming. I've noticed from run to run this morning, it starts out where you have storms by Woodward, and then this little isolated guy keeps pushing a little closer and a little closer to central Oklahoma. So we have to watch that very carefully, because if we do have any sort of isolated activity here, that's where you're going to have that potential of hail upwards of baseball size. And then we push even more forward to 2 o'clock in the morning. You have an additional area of storms forming in western Oklahoma. These could be hailers. You got storms up by Wichita. That could be some big hailers. And you see some storms forming out to the west of Dallas, where we could see a large hail as well. And again, even more activity here in southeastern Oklahoma and over by Mena and Texarkana, Arkansas. We could have some hail as well. So again, possibly some very long-term activity here. Hail trace, we're getting ready for a lot of long hours starting this evening, overnight, and then to tomorrow. And then I think once we push through the rest of the run, you see here by 6:30 in the morning, a lot of this is pushed out of Oklahoma City and Dallas. We do have activity moving through at daybreak in Dallas. And the big question for DFW is, are we going to see a line of storms like this, or are they going to be more isolated? The more isolated they are, the bigger the hail potential is going to be. So we're going to see what is everything showing here. What's the significant hail model that we're showing? Anywhere you see at least yellow, that means the potential. So the storms that you just saw on the future radar, the potential for hail at least 1 inch in diameter is yellow. Here in the orange areas, that means you have upwards of golf ball to 2 inch size hail. And then even when you get to the reds, that's when you're getting well into the tennis ball to baseball territory. So by 10 o'clock, any storms that are happening, you could have upwards of golf ball size hail to 2 inch hail. Push it forward a little bit. We're at right here at 2 in the morning. I really pinpointed between Oklahoma City and Dallas. Any storms that form near the Red River, pretty much from I-40 down to I-20, you could have hail upwards of baseball size in diameter if storms happen. The biggest question is whether storms are going to happen or not. And that's going to keep our probabilities in the two cities that we're highlighting here a little lower than other areas. And then as we shift further to the east by 6:30, notice at 6:30 in the morning, this is daybreak, guys, we have the potential for golf ball size hail all the way to the Memphis area, and that is really going to push that potential for a very significant outbreak for over 24 hours going into your Wednesday, and we'll break down Wednesday in a second here. So what's the maximum size we could see tonight across the risk area? I'm thinking tennis ball is going to be your biggest hail size potential. There's always a potential. It could be a little bigger, a little smaller, but I think average about tennis ball size hail. I don't think we'll quite get the softballs in the overnight hours tonight. I think the softball size hail is more likely going into your Wednesday. And then here we see for the city forecast, we're going to break it down a couple different cities. I'm starting here in Wichita. Start time is storm time between about midnight and 4 in the morning. And they have the best chance of seeing tennis ball size hail. I know Wichita was a little at the top of my graphic, but any isolated storms that form in Oklahoma, they're going to be moving towards Wichita. So if they hold themselves together, they could have upwards of tennis ball size hail. So that's a high for max hail size. You got a moderate chance of at least quarters. So I think there's a pretty good chance we'll see some quarter size hail in the Wichita area this overnight, not evening, overnight after midnight. But I'm keeping it low. We have to keep a storm isolated and really roaring as we move into Wichita. So it's keeping the chances a little lower for that tennis ball size hail in the overnight hours in Wichita. Moving south a little bit down I-35, we're in Oklahoma City between 2 and 6 o'clock in the morning here for Oklahoma City. And we could have up to golf ball size hail. This has the potential to be higher than golf ball size hail if model trends through the afternoon really indicate we might see storms. Then it could be bigger hail than that. We could even get a little bigger than that. That's very conditional though. So I kept a moderate chance of up to quarter size hail and then low for golf ball or larger, just based on what we saw this morning. And I'm kind of maintaining that at the moment because it looks like we may have a hard time getting storms to form. And then finally, DFW here, 2 to 7 a.m. as well. You guys are going to be also up to golf ball size hail. I think your chances are lower than Oklahoma City for the really big stuff, just because there will be storms that move through, especially towards the end of my 2 to 7 time frame. But I think there's going to be some storm mode issues. So instead of being isolated supercells, it could be more of a line of storms. That could keep hail sizes a little lower. So saying that low chance for quarter and golf ball size hail and larger, but not saying it's out of the woods. I'm saying if anything is isolated, again, things can change in the overnight hours, and that would drastically change. That potential is there for much bigger hail, but right now, storm mode and possible lack of anything even forming is keeping those chances a little bit lower. So what is our overall hail forecast for today? This is the map. Don't worry, we're not getting rid of the map. This is the map you guys know and love. Look in here, so they got that moderate chance for Wichita, low Oklahoma City, low Kansas City. I didn't really mention Kansas City too much. You have the outside chance you can get upwards of quarter size hail there. The area in red, that's your best chance of that tennis ball size hail. So western Oklahoma, south central Kansas, down towards like Childress, and even just to the west of Abilene. We shift south a little bit here, and you can see Dallas, Fort Worth, even all the way down to San Antonio. If a storm forms, you can actually get some hail, but it looks like way off to your west, back by probably even west of San Angelo. That's your best chance of seeing hail in central Texas. Shifting off a little bit to the east, you have a moderate chance in Shreveport as well. Looks like some activity, that activity we're showing over by Texarkana and Mena and other parts of southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana. You have that moderate chance of getting, up to golf ball size hail. And finally, shifting to the east, yes, it feels like forever ago in the video, but we were talking about that potential of some storms through the rest of this afternoon and evening. I have Montgomery in here, low chance of that $1.25 to $1.5 size hail. A lot more rain and smaller hail, gusty winds mixing in with that as well. So shifting gears, we have Tuesday. Now here we go for Wednesday. This is the future radar for Wednesday. This is going to be likely a major outbreak. Storm Prediction Center had a moderate risk as of this morning. This is at 9 a.m. We have a whole bunch of activity. So this area of rain here, this is actually a warm front. So I'm pushing to the north. So you have that unstable air everywhere south of this rain where my hand's at right now. And you have some storms here off to the west of Memphis. These could be hailers. Could have hailers to the east of Dallas down by Houston. We shift a little bit ahead in time and look at how the radar blows up. All of these little isolated storms here could be tornadic, and they can also have large hail. So everywhere across Alabama, parts of lots of Mississippi, lots of Georgia, and then everywhere along this line could be tornadic and have hail as well. This line doesn't look super cohesive. It doesn't look like it's going to be one massive squall line. These could be just a kind of broken line of storms, and these are the ones that can be pretty dangerous because there'd be some real rain-wrapped tornadoes in there as well. And that's at 4 p.m. tomorrow, shifting forward to about 11 o'clock. You can see as everything pushed ahead, you had those supercells racing to the north, and all of these, look at this line of storms here. Each one of these are little supercells just kind of stacked on top of each other. They could be hailers, and they could definitely be tornadic, some possibly very violent tornadoes with this. And again, even at 11:30 p.m. tomorrow evening, there's isolated storms in eastern Alabama, some storms here in Georgia. So again, all these could be hailers. All of these could have major tornadoes with them. So it looks like a very long event and a very possibly significant event across the southeast for St. Patrick's Day. And even continuing forward here, this is all the way to 6 a.m. on Thursday. You can see across, basically going right across Atlanta down into Florida, all these storms, still not a very cohesive line, and that could have the tornadic activity extending all the way into Thursday morning with even hail in there as well. So what are the most at-risk cities on Wednesday? I got Memphis, Little Rock, Jackson, Birmingham, Atlanta, and Nashville. I think Memphis, you guys are under the gun for some serious hail, as well as Jackson, Mississippi, your probably highest risk areas. Just below that, just a tiny bit, is Little Rock and Birmingham. Atlanta, I have you at moderate for seeing large hail. This is for hail specifically, just because I think storm mode might be not as favorable as the cities off to your west. And Nashville, biggest question for me for Nashville is how far north that warm front gets. If the warm front doesn't get north of Nashville, you guys aren't going to see any hail. So you're at a moderately low chance across the Nashville area. And with that, here is our hail forecast map for tomorrow. It's a preliminary one at the moment. We'll definitely update by the time tomorrow rolls around. You can see a very expansive area extending all the way from back in Kansas. Again, remember, this starts at about 7 a.m. Eastern Oklahoma, eastern Texas. That main bullseye here is going to be in sections of Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and then even into Alabama as well. And I have the most significant area, so anywhere in this hatch zone could have hail bigger than tennis ball size. Just right now, it's hard to pinpoint exactly where I think I'm going to put the purple in at the moment, so I kind of hedged my bets a little bit. So anywhere in this hatched area could see very significant hail. The highest risk, again, Memphis, Jackson, we got Little Rock and Birmingham at the moderate, and then low on the outskirts here. So Atlanta, Nashville, even up to Kansas City, you could see that potential for some hail as well. So a whole lot of stuff in here. I was trying to see some comments. Any questions you have, I'll happily answer them right now. And if not, I can try to keep an eye on the chat, and other people will keep an eye on the chat to try to answer any questions for you through the rest of today. And that we can look beyond just today, and this is Thursday's risk right now. Anywhere from Atlanta all the way to the East Coast and all of Florida are at risk on Thursday. Again, that tornado and hail threat is all there. So a big time next few days. Looks like we could have upwards of 48 hours straight of severe weather, which doesn't happen super often. And I can see Frank in the back there trying. Looks like he's about to just kind of fall onto the floor. So we'll be here. We'll be tracking it. It's very possible we'll be doing live coverage tomorrow. When I was chatting with Derek about all these new graphics, we have fun stuff in store for live coverage. We may be doing some wall-to-wall coverage if it really does turn into a major tornado outbreak. North Dallas, yes, tonight probably close to daybreak tomorrow morning, so 4 or 5 in the morning. Biggest questions are going to be storm mode. If it's a line of storms, you're not going to see much hail, but if they're isolated supercells, you could see that hail as a golf ball size. I think somebody mentioned Abilene. I think Abilene, storms might be just west of you guys, so it's possible. If you get isolated storms to form in the overnight hours after midnight, you could see that hail And if they're isolated, it could be pretty big, upwards of tennis ball size. But that chance, I think, is very low for Abilene. There's some capping issues, some reasons keeping storms in check, basically, over there. Again, put in any other questions you guys have. I'll happily answer them. You can see if I can get my thing to go here. You can always follow us here on all of our social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I think we have a Twitch channel now, if you kids want to watch us, I guess. You can see first on Facebook so you don't miss any of our content, especially live coverage. And if you want to get yourselves ready for potentially our first 5-star map of the year, give us a call at 855-334-4245. We'll happily talk to you guys, get you trained, ready to go for this storm season. You can email us as well, info@hailtrace.com. And of course, visit our website for more details at hailtrace.com. It's possible I'll do another video update later today. We'll kind of see how things are shaping up. I know we didn't talk about the wind and tornado threat a whole lot. Mostly a timing issue. We're getting used to our new graphics. So we will be slowly introducing an evening forecast as well in the coming weeks here. So get ready for that, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I know it was a lot. Put questions in the comments. If you're not watching this live, we're going to be keeping an eye on that and try to answer anything for you guys. We'll see you tomorrow if we don't do a forecast update later today. And potentially, you might be seeing a lot of us tomorrow if we have some serious severe weather. So have a great day, everybody.